Most of the team rushed in from the city to be here. You're the only one who has returned.
What?
Do you have any sense of how long you've been gone?
14 months and 10 days.
Listen, I know you're exhausted, but we were hoping you could tell us a little bit about where you've been. What you saw, how you made it back. We'll start small. What's the last thing you remember before waking up in that hangar?
I was at a bar.
The bar?
Yeah.
By yourself?
No, I was with someone.
Who?
Ryan Hoover.
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this is a spoiler-full podcast about a new episode or show on Apple TV Plus called Dark Matter. We're kind of stepping away from some of the comic stuff, but this show is based upon a novel, a sci-fi novel, which is interesting. So it kind of fits in our format, but we're going to do this anyway, and we're going to have fun with it. And I'm hoping you guys do follow along. We're doing this episode by episode. So keep in mind, spoiler full. Those of you who already know about Dark Matter, it dropped the first 2 episodes, but we're right now concentrating on this particular podcast on episode 1. So as I stated, we're covering Dark Matter, season 1, episode 1. Are you happy in your life? And the information about the show, well, it was first announced in December 2020 that Apple TV Plus had entered into a development series adaptation of Blake Crouch's novel, with Crouch set to write, act as showrunner. The series was officially greenlit in March 2022, with Apple ordering 9 episodes and Joel Edgerton cast to star. Louis Leterrier, who was set to direct the first 4 episodes. And by September 2022, Jennifer Connelly, Alice Braga, Jimmy Simpson, Oaks Fegley, and Deo Okeniyi. I don't want to say anything wrong. Okeniyi. I'm terrible at names, everybody. So if I destroyed your name, I'm sorry. They all joined the cast. And in December, Amanda Brugel would join the cast in a recurring role. So production began in Chicago on October 4th, 2022, and it was expected to wrap by April 2023. And then Apple TV announced the series will premiere on May 8th, 2024, which it did. So a lot of people were very much interested. Apple TV Plus is doing a huge promotion of this. You do see it when you turn on your Apple TV. It comes up on your home screen, and it's one of the first big things. So I'm glad that we're doing this, and I'm glad because of the actors that we have. The source material seems interesting to me, and so does Steve. Steve, what are your thoughts on the idea of the concept of the show?
Yeah, I love it, and this is my one regret. I was going to have this later. We can talk about it right now. My one regret is when you pitched the show, when you pitched, hey, let's do Dark Matter. I was like, what? I hadn't even heard of it. So I went and watched the trailer, and I kind of regret. And this is the first time this is big for me, folks. Because I usually don't care about spoilers. I don't care about trailers. I love to watch them. I love to know what's going on. But with this particular one, I watched the trailer, and as soon as I watched the trailer, I knew everything that was going to happen, or probability of what's going to happen in the show.
Yeah,
so because the trailer gives away that it's an alternate reality or alternate universe kind of show, science fiction. But I like the twist they put on it so far. In that, I really liked it. The concept is good. I like the concept. We've seen the concept a lot. So I kind of hope they find a way to subvert our expectations a little bit. I don't know the novel. I may, after we finish the season, I may try to go back and find the novel and read it to see how close it was. But I do appreciate the fact that the guy that wrote the novel is involved with the show, because that helps give the authenticity to it, I would
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
So
I feel the same way too, in the sense that, it's like we see Stephen King, but then again, half the time Stephen King's work never is what it is in book form to film. But in this case, this guy is directly involved, and
Mhm.
it's amazing, I think.
yeah, yeah. I can't wait to see how the rest of the series plays out.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. And like I said, it's a trope that's been done. I mean, just most recently, the show that I saw, the spinoff from Supernatural called The Winchesters was spoiler if you haven't seen a show from 3 years ago. That is an alternate universe of the Supernatural universe. So it's kind of cool to have another show doing this alternate universe kind of thing. So like I said, I'm excited to see where they take it, and hopefully they have kind of a twist to it. Hopefully it's not too predictable.
Yeah.
Like I will say, I mean, as soon as the guy in the white mask showed up, I was like,
you knew right
oh, that's
away.
him. Oh, that's the alternate version of him. And then
But-
of course he knew the father's birthday in reverse. Takes the phone. I know your father. I know your code is your father's birthday in reverse. And and then the show. This is my only. I will give this one criticism of the show. They kind of hit us over the head with it, right? Because like when main Jason asks him, "Who are you?" He says,
Yeah.
"You wouldn't believe me if I told you."
Mhm.
And then at the very end, when Jennifer Connelly's character sees the mark on his arm or whatever that is on his arm,
Mhm.
he says, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." So I'm like, okay, we get it. It's an alternate version of him. We get it. We figured this out. Now where are you going to go from here? And on the second watch, I really realized that at the beginning, the guy we see at the beginning with the little vial is
That's him.
the alt version. Not
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
about that right away. I was like, well, that's an alternate version. These are tropes and things that we all get because, yes, we are already covering stuff. We're waiting another one. It's going to have alternate stuff that's coming out in July that we are anticipating, comic book related. Deadpool,
Mhm.
Wolverine. It's going to have multiverse versions of these people. Now, right now, in this particular show, in the first episode, we're just concentrating on just two people. Wait until it starts, because if you look at that maze and that AI introduced introduction of the show, like the whole intro with the music and very
Mhm.
much like Westworld, but it's a maze and labyrinth.
Yeah.
And not to put a pun into it because, Jennifer Connelly was in Labyrinth, but it had that same kind of feature and feel. So we know that these people are going to get involved. Right now, we're just dealing with 2 realities. Wait until we get into 5 or 6 realities.
Mhm.
And if the Jason that we know has to go from not just the one he got thrown into by his other self, but gets thrown into another one else. That
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
you're
how
gonna
many
have
versions of him are we going to see? How many versions of his life are we going to see?
even Daniela, Amanda, Jimmy Simpson's character Ryan.
Ryan.
And there are multiple amounts of these actors and characters that we're gonna possibly see
Yeah.
that are gonna be like, wait a minute, which world are we in? Now you have to factor in. It's like, do I have to flag this and do a
Yeah.
poster of like
Yeah.
this reality goes to this reality to this
Yeah.
to this,
I've got to get a Venn diagram of how these people all interact. And
It's an NCIS like wall pattern that you have to do, everybody with string. And it's all
Yeah.
string theory at that point too, because they do mention neuroscience. We do get the awesome
the Schrodinger's cat.
Yep, that's what I was gonna get to. Yep.
Yeah. I don't think I think it's been a long time since I've heard that whole explanation. Like they've talked about it in other shows, but I think that's the first time in a while that I've heard the entire, radioactive isotope thing. And you always just hear the cat is in there with a vial of poison or something
Correct.
like that. And the cat is both alive and dead until you open the box. But once you open the box, you ruin the experiment. So yeah, but I thought it was pretty funny when the kid goes, he liked to torture cats. So, but yeah, I like it, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go and continue on. let's talk about Daniela for a minute. Let's and we can break this down.
Sure.
She had me a little bit confused because so when she's with Maine Jason, they seemed very affectionate and very loving, and it seemed like they were in a good place in their relationship, right?
Correct.
And then when Alt Jason comes back late and he hasn't returned her calls, he hasn't returned her texts, she's mad, and it almost acts like this is like a regular thing or something. Like I didn't the turns she made in that scene were, I mean, on one hand, you could say they were brilliant because she's obviously loves this man, but it seemed like when the first kiss happened, she kind of recoils back, and I almost wondered on the second watch, I almost wondered, does she like notice that something's different? Like, is this going to be? I'll be very interested to hear and see the rest of with her, because there is a moment where it seemed like she was like, she goes like, what is this? Because maybe he's never been that forward with his affections or something. I don't know, but it seemed like at first she's thinking there's something different here.
I thought it had to do with something with the bar relation, and he might have had an issue with alcohol at one point, and he got back late and ignored the texts, and possibly, and then this was her way of trying to rope him. And even though she had encouraged him to go meet Ryan at the bar, even she was shocked that, oh, you're going to that bar. So I'm thinking this is something that's historical within their relationship.
Well,
and
yeah.
with Ryan.
And then of course there's that moment when he asks her, do you remember what I told you when we started this? And I want to go, wait a minute, how does he know their past? Like, where did
I have a theory.
Okay. But let me finish my thought, because where did they depart, I guess? Because she says, oh, you wanted to wait, you didn't want to wake up, you wanted to have memories of me, not memories of a sterile lab, right? And I was like, how does he know that? So go ahead, what's your theory?
My theory is as we know, the Jason Dessen that came from that world went to the other one. They stated, oh, Jason, you've been gone for 14 months. I think he had been gone 14 months and he was undercover in that world, stalking his own self, and then picking up on the patterns of that Jason's life and figuring out his patterns, his interests, his thoughts, especially when she brings up, oh, mint chocolate chip ice cream. It was down to something that either was something in the past that he had looked at, that he had followed up on, but it was a bad idea because she kind of flagged it at that point. So I think he had been following him to make the switch and change so he could have, and I don't think it's going to be.
So the two
you would
timelines,
think that they would claim each other's lives, but there's something ulterior going on.
So you think the timelines are running concurrently?
I think so.
I was almost confused. I was like, wait, 14 months, how long? And I like your theory. I think your theory could be correct, that 14 months that he was gone, he was like stalking them and studying them, so that when he made the switch, he would know enough to be convincing as Jason. So that's an interesting. Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see like what. Again, I'm interested if they're going to show us a flashback of where the worlds diverged, or how the worlds diverged, or if they may not even bother to show us that. But I think they're going to have to show us something. I hope they don't go with the trope of like Ryan, like in one of these worlds, Ryan is married to Daniela, and then there's and I want to go, oh, please don't do that. That's the one thing that I will say, please don't do. I hope they don't do that. Because that's so obvious of a thing to do.
That's a cliche.
A cliche. So I hope they don't do that. But yeah, I was interested. I'm really intrigued after just one episode to see where this goes and how it diverges. And I have a question.
Mhm.
That's just a gee whiz kind of question.
Sure.
How did you pay the cab driver?
That's a good question.
I mean,
PayPal?
he had his phone, so maybe he was able to do something with the phone to pay
Yeah.
for the cab ride. But that was both times I watched it. I was like, how do you pay the cab driver? Like, and how far did that cab driver have to go? Because the one guy says they drove in from the city to be in this lab, right?
Mhm.
And where is this facility at? How far did he? Because it looked like at first it looked like it was really far away from the city.
That
And
is
in
true.
the next scene, he's walking on a bridge in the city, and I'm like, wait, did he just? How did he travel from one place to the other? These are just the nitpicky kind of questions that I think us podcasters would ask, and everybody else is going to kind of just gloss over them. But there's certain things that I want to go. How did you do that? How do you get from there to there? You know,
I like the idea that you say, how did he pay the cab driver? The first thing out of my thought was like Apple Pay.
yeah, Apple Pay, PayPal, something with the phone. Like I said, he did have the phone, so maybe he had some way of paying the cab driver from the phone. But I didn't realize until the second time I watched it, I think that I was already expecting it was not going to be her. It was not going to be Daniela that he found in his home. I already knew that.
Too. Yeah.
But the closed captioning gives it away when she says his name, because it says Amanda in the closed captioning saying Jason. Like instead of just saying a woman saying Jason, and then we get the reveal of Amanda being there, they kind of spoil it for us, a few seconds before.
Well, that's closed captioning spoilers right there.
Yeah, and that happens. It's not a big deal, but it's just one of those little things that I was just like, but I guess we should have understood. We should have expected it, the way she hugged him when he woke up.
I kind of caught that right away, and I said, all right, they're connected, and the excitement that they were. The first thing I thought, because they were talking about radiation, fallout, and all this, I'm thinking outside is an apocalypse. And then when he gets out there, it's not. So I'm curious as to where he went. It had to be because he deals with physics. It has to be something to do with a contained laboratory area or something that is contained where they were defying physics to a different world, and they probably ventured out. So they must have crossed into something, and they might have sent other people out there, but he is the first one to ever come back, apparently.
Yeah, that's what I was interested. It was interesting that they they cut off his clothes, and I wanted him to go, hey, I just got these, or something. But they cut off his clothes, and the guy says, test everything. They're all in those like hazmat suits.
Correct.
And they wash him. So I was kind of with you. I was kind of like, where has he been that they know or they suspect we've got to sterilize him before we can talk to him and stuff,
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I'm interested to see what that is. What kind of experiments was he doing? Obviously the show is called Dark Matter, so he may have been experimenting with dark matter. I don't know. I started to do a deep dive Wikipedia on what dark matter is, and I stopped myself because I was just like,
purple stuff that he had in the
probably
the syringe that was supposed to go in that we see in the very beginning, because it looks like a more like, I hate saying it because, but if you look at Star Trek and everything else, they have these syringes that don't even have needles on them. It looked to me like something like that, where it gets forced in. Maybe it's something forced in for them to move in from one extreme to the next, but who knows?
Yeah.
But you were talking about Daniela, and Daniela herself, if you think about her as a character, it's interesting about her, of like my first impressions of her, and I kind of pulled my notes together to get an idea. Seems to be like a go-getting housewife. She is more focused in on her work, and even her friend says she's trying to avoid her real life, which is her family.
Yeah, again, that's that dichotomy of we saw this scene, this very I idyllic. I don't. What is my vocabulary today? We see this very pleasant scene with the affectionate scene with where she's joshing with the son a little bit about his driving.
Correct.
They have this affection for each other in the morning, and it looks like this is a normal,
House.
yeah, a normal. What's the word? I'm
Family.
functioning family. Yeah. It's a functional family. But then, like you said, that the friend makes that comment about, oh, you're training for this triathlon.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
To avoid your family. And I want to go, but is she like a museum curator? Because she was talking about the painting and the brushstrokes.
Yeah, she's putting on lauded art exhibits, apparently.
Yeah. So it's just I'm interested again. We're just setting up these characters right now. So
yeah,
maybe there was some little bit where they wanted to kind of show us the pleasant side of it, and then there's going to be a darker side at some point.
Whereas with Jason, we do see him and how his affections for his son, and she was like, "Oh, you're not driving," and then he makes him drive, and then there's that call from Ryan, and then it's like, "Oh,
yeah."
Making the remark, but the thing is that the fact that he entrusts his son into things, he's trying to be the father to his son and family man, but there's something hidden from us because this is our first impressions.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably something that happened with him that made Jason become this person. So, and the alternate version of Jason, we don't know. From what we know, he's not married. Doesn't have a girlfriend really per se, because even though Amanda has affections for him, she says you live alone.
No, she said you're not married. She said you don't have a wife.
Okay, good.
Is what she said.
Yeah,
I just watched it. So I got the impression that they were living together. That's why she was in the house.
That's what I thought too.
And that's why. So maybe you're right. Maybe they're not living. I got the impression they were living together because he goes upstairs and he goes into his office and he sees the fact that he won that Pavia award and not Ryan. So that's where I'm confused with the timeline a little bit because the beginning of the show of the episode, Ryan tells him, "I just won the Pavia and I'm going to open this, this whatever neurotech company in San Francisco."
And then he talks about the other guy who he meets in the other world, Leighton. And Leighton, he was like, "Oh," and he makes the comment about what a joke Leighton was when they were in college.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're
bar.
Right. Okay.
But yet Ryan in that world is not really present. And he's not involved with that whole scenario of what's going on.
And so I'm wondering when did Alt Jason win this Pavia award and start this? Did he win it, earlier than Ryan in the main universe? I don't know how we're gonna.
We'll find out. Honestly, I'm sure most of you listeners have been watching ahead, or you've read the book, so you have a chance to give us a little bit of insight without even spoiling us. So right now, we're just covering the first episode. By the next episode, you'll have other things that you could state that happened maybe at that point. I don't know. I haven't watched ahead. I literally only watched this twice, and that was it. So you guys let us know. Give us that. We'll let you know where to comment as well and get to us with feedback. But right now, it's like with the characters and the character development, it's interesting for some of the characters that we know, the actors involved. Like, we got Joel Edgerton as Jason, who we know. And my first impression of Joel Edgerton was literally from Star Wars, as playing Uncle Owen, early Uncle Owen, back in Clone Wars at that point. And then Revenge of the Sith, and then after that, he was in The Thing 2011 with who?
I never saw that one. That was the prequel.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That was the prequel, which actually coincides. I covered that on Adrenaline Cinema podcast.
I may have watched that once. I don't remember now.
It's good to watch that first and go right into Carpenter's Thing, and it does work mesh. The only issues that we had, honestly, listeners, it was just like effects for the 2011. Not the original 80s version that Carpenter did.
Mhm.
We love the Carpenter one. The
Right.
2011 one I thought it was a solid story, but whatever.
Yeah.
But that's how we know Joel Edgerton. And then, of
Okay.
course, we mentioned Jennifer Connelly, who we knew from Labyrinth. I mentioned that. Beautiful, intelligent, wonderful woman. Has a whole huge, like, world of movies that we could just dive into, being drama, comedy, anything.
Mhm.
And you just love her in all those.
Oh yeah, she's
All
great.
those
She's wonderful, and just
Paul
whatever
Bettany's
she
wife.
does. Yeah, yeah.
You
Married to
know,
Paul
the
Bettany.
Vision, and she is the voice actually in Homecoming, if you all remember
Mhm.
that too. So she does make it's an MCU family.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
of course, we got Jimmy Simpson as Ryan, who I first remembered seeing in the movie Loser with Jason Biggs, which
Wow.
was a really bad movie. It was a bad comedy in early 2000. But
See, I think the first thing I saw him in was Psych, where he had a recurring role in
Oh,
Psych,
okay.
and then he was on a season of oh it was another book series with Pollyanna McIntosh and him.
Oh,
He played a character named Soldier, I think is what they called him. A real it's interesting because he played very against type
yeah.
in this show. The name of the show is escaping me. It had oh, that's horrible. It was a great show too. Anyway, he was in that. He was in one season of that. And like I said, he had a recurring role on Psych, and then of course Westworld.
Yeah,
Um,
Westworld was the biggest one that I remember him from. I remember him from other, like, movies and appearances and things of
Yeah.
that nature. But same thing with the actress who played Amanda, as well as the other actor who played Leighton.
Mhm.
So we have familiar faces within this that we will basically follow along because we've seen them other places, and we figure, okay, we're going to get a great show out of this. And
Yeah.
I think they started it off very well.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
You said you wanted to talk about the music.
the music was pretty cool. It was written by Jason Hill,
Okay.
and Jason Hill has been around for a long, long time. He's done Fire in 2019, Mindhunter, The Confession Killer. Like, he's done episodic TV shows for the
Yeah.
most part.
It had a very noir feeling about it, and so I hope. And then of course, there's kind of a jazzy feeling, and then that song at the very end
Yes.
was pretty intense.
It gave me Carpenter vibes too at the piano at one point too. So just to give the tension here
Yeah.
and there. And I like when composers actually do that. You don't have to have a fully orchestrated. It just one instrument, sharp
Mhm.
notes, and then it just works. It gets you in the feel of what's going on with the character.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those were my thoughts. I didn't have any other notes except that we already mentioned it earlier that the creator, the writer, is highly involved within the show itself.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that's happening, and it's not so often that we do get something like that out of this. So I'm loving the fact that we got Blake Crouch involved heavily within the show itself. And in comparison to what, like Game of Thrones, where he was barely there and he couldn't even get his books out. So
Yeah, no, and like I said, I'm intrigued. I want to see where it goes from here, and see what I'm looking up that Jimmy Simpson show because it's gonna bug me if I don't remember what this show was. Give me a second here. This is great. This is great listening time. I'm sure everybody all enjoying this. He was in Greenland. Oh, that's a cartoon. This is horrible. There's Psych. He was in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
yep.
He's got. I'm trying to scroll through this because he's had a lot of credits.
Yeah, he does.
And I'm trying to find the one that I'm looking for, and it's not coming up for me. That's horrible.
That was weird.
I'm sure it's here. It's just I've gotta find it. But yeah, it's anyway. We love Jimmy Simpson. We've loved him for a long time, I'm sure, and we Jennifer Connelly's amazing at everything she does. So
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we just really enjoy these actors, and I can't wait to see more of what they're going to show us in this season. So
Yeah, the episodes don't run very long. They're between 45 minutes to like 53 minutes long. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind. So it's not a long watch. It's not like an extended movie. So
yeah, I think this first one was like 47 minutes. I started it at like 2 and was finished with it before we started recording today. So
yeah. It's a good watch, and if you do it once a week, to me, that's how I've been trying to approach it. When I was covering Monarch with Ben Beck. Sorry, everybody, and sorry, Ben. When I was covering Monarch with Ben Beck on Wilhelm and Podcastica, I kind of jumped the shark when everything got dropped on me. When I could get, I got screeners. But with this, we got dropped both episodes, and then I could have always waited a week or whatever. And you know what? No, not going to do it this time. And same thing when I do interview with the vampire on when it comes out on AMC Plus. I'm not looking ahead for certain episodes. By the way, we are covering that. So on Adrenaline Cinema and Podcastica, and it'll be on House Podcastica, just to give a cheap plug right there.
nice.
But we will be covering this episodically, every episode per week. So if you're keeping up with us, thank you. If not, just listening along with what our thoughts were, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also, let a friend know that we are doing this. A lot of
And did you
people like
say-
to do it.
Did you say his TV podcast industry? Are they covering this one also, or are they not covering this one?
I'm not too sure if Derek
Okay.
and John are actually covering this yet. So we'll find out.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with. I have to admit, I haven't kept up with their podcast. It's been a crazy year for me.
I haven't been listening to them as much as I should as well. Same thing with I've been trying to catch up with a lot of other podcasts as well, like with Run for Your Lives and stuff like that. That's on Podcastica. I've also been involved, just like Steve has, because he's been on Buffy, the Buffyverse, which was Still Slaying, which is on Podcastica. So I was on there as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back. I've got at least one more episode. I think I'm going to go back with them later. So
Yeah.
at least one. So,
But for now, we're covering this. You could hear us here. We're going to put this out once a week, so you guys have us to listen to, and then anything else, and then what we also suggest. Right now, I have no notes, no other thoughts, but I do have one quote, and this is Jason to his captor. What is that? And captor, and this is when the captor, which is Jason himself, gives him the syringe. He goes, "It's a possibility." So what that possibility is, I want to know, and I'm sure everybody wants to know as they watch the show go on. So
I'm excited to see, like I said, where this is going to go and how they're going to take it. So it's I'm glad to be back podcasting. Also, I've been on a little bit of a break because of my health and stuff, but I need to get into that with all the listeners. But
and
yeah,
as
that's
always,
all I've got.
Yeah. And always there's next week too, listeners. We'll be covering
So
Dark Matter, season 1, episode 2, Trip of a Lifetime.
Best trip of your life, the trip of your lifetime, something like
It's
that.
Trip of a Lifetime.
Okay.
And like I said, it already had come out, so
Probably
it
going to
was
watch it as
dropped.
soon as we're done.
So,
as soon as we're done
exactly.
recording here, I'll probably watch it.
So with that, you could send in your feedback. And where to send your feedback? Well, if you would like to send any feedback, all you have to do is send us an email or record your voice and just send it as an attachment to panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels, 2 is spelled out TO, pixels and the number 1@gmail.com. Or you could just go to our Facebook page, where I did actually leave an image and saying, please leave your comments below. So nobody has, but it would always be there. I'll do it once a week. I'll take an image from the episode and just put it up there. And you just guys could just leave your thoughts in the image below. Or you could just message us through Facebook Messenger, as always. That's always availability. If you are subscribed and follow us on Facebook, that'd be great. We can also be found on Instagram as well. That is linked because, that's how Meta works. Because once I post it on one, it posts on the other. So
Nice.
we can be found on Instagram at Panels to Pixels Podcast. So that's at Panels to Pixels Podcast. We could also be found on YouTube. And all you have to do is look for Panels to Pixels Podcast on YouTube. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, be notified, and like the episodes. And it helps us get noticed. You could also leave messages, and we've read them here too, by the way. So you can also leave us a rating or review. That would be awesome in YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those are the best places to go, apparently. You can get your ratings or reviews. And just please write out a review if you can. It actually helps people pinpoint, because if they just see and it's like, oh, 5 stars, what did you like about it? It's like, or what didn't you like about it? Because there are those people out there that don't like what people do. So that's it. So well, that just basically wraps up everything for this week about dark matter. And I'm so glad that we got into something new. This is gonna be interesting. We're gonna have a
I'm
lot
excited.
of fun.
Yeah.
This will hold us till
Boys.
in July, when something else comes out, not just Deadpool Wolverine. I'm also talking about The Boys.
It's June, I think. June 24th, I believe. Wasn't it?
Really?
June 24th?
I thought it
could
was
be
in
wrong.
July. All right.
Maybe
well,
it is. Maybe it is. I can't remember. I haven't looked it up recently.
I'm sure if not, you could always send in some information, everybody, and just correct me. I was under the assumption that July 13th was
Okay, that could be right. I'm
for The
I
Boys.
admit I have not looked recently, so
But we'll try to fulfill all the content that we can right here on Panels to Pixels podcast. You could hear me on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, as always. Coming up, we're looking to do Demolition Man, and we are in the process. By the time you get this, Interview with the Vampire will be out on AMC Plus. Check that out. If you like to follow us there, you could hear me, Lara, Danny, and Rima from Strange Indeed. Rima will be there a few times. She can't make it there for the whole time, but she'll jump in whenever she can. So
Excellent.
You can check us out there when we do that. And that's episodically as well. We're going to do it episode by episode. And it's the first time we're doing that. And it's a cross-platform collaboration between Adrenaline Cinema Podcast and Podcastica. So if anything, you just go to podcastica.com, or you just go to Adrenaline Cinema Podcast on Facebook and just follow us there, or go to pyrocarentertainment.com. So with that, that is our episode. And I just want to thank everyone for listening. I'm Mark.
and I'm Steve.
Same podcast, different panel, different pixel. This was Panels to Pixels podcast, and we'll see you on the next panel. Good night, everybody.
Good night.